My name is Harold Hilborn. Born and raised in Sheboygan. I lived there for 18 years. I went to Fair State University to study welding. In 1982, I left, no work in Michigan at that time. I have 3 older sisters. They're all 20, 21, and 23 years older than I am. And I had a sister that lived in Tucson, Arizona. And I went out there and I went right to work, and I never stopped working for 37 years. I'm sorry, let me turn this off real quick. Yeah. When I retired, I always wanted to come back home, but having good steady work, I came back to visit but never came back to live. And when I decided to retire, I wanted to come back here. And my significant other lived here at the time, and she made me an offer I couldn't refuse. We grew up together, knew each other growing up, but never dated or anything. And so I decided to come back here. And then when I came back here, I started to research my lineage since I lived in the area. It took a couple of summers to traveling to all the 3 different courthouses and cemeteries, trying to find the clues. And one of the interesting things I found in Detour was my grandmother, great-grandmother there. She was born in a cemetery, the Bob Hill Cemetery, which is located right behind the DNR building. And it's a private cemetery. It was founded by Captain Robert Hill. And my grandmother was the first one buried there. And there's a lot of family members that are also buried there. So, and my whole family were fishermen. On my native side, they were fishermen, and then even on my father's side were fishermen. So. It's really hard to decipher for me. I think that in the recent years it's been more prominent. In my parents' time, it was almost an embarrassment for them to have a Native American lineage. I know it was in my family, they didn't. My grandmothers and that, actually were listed as Indian on the rolls and also in the census, and probably in the 1930s they changed that to being white for them. So and nowadays I think there's quite a bit more pride to be a Native American. Yeah. Actually, in my personal case, when I was born, my mother was 44, my father was not Native. My mother was Native, and she passed away when I was 4. And my grandmother passed away when I was 1. So actually I got very little knowledge from them. I think that it's important. I think they do a good job right now from what I see. I was recently enrolled in November, and I see all types of opportunities for people who want to learn the language and the culture to do that if they want to access it. Just a sense of pride. I've always been prideful. Well, I would. I'd like to share my journey on how I got here today. So in the mid-1970s, our family started a quest to become members of the tribe. And it was started by my brother-in-law on behalf of my oldest sister. And compiling and collecting all the documents needed to prove your lineage was difficult in my family, starting right out of the gate with my grandmother. My grandmother they couldn't find a birth certificate for her, or really any record of all. And this was an immediate roadblock. And so he gave up, and then my youngest sister picked it up in the 1980s. I had a great aunt who had become a Catholic nun, and she was able to give some familial history of my great-great-grandmother, who was born on Duck Island. And they left that island about the time that Governor Osborne purchased the island, and they relocated down to Cogburn Island, and where my great-grandmother was born. And actually she was born over in Bruce Mines, but they were both recognized in the Garden River baptismal records, and then also they were listed in the 1860 census. And so, but with my grandmother, when I picked up the task of trying to find her, I realized that, right away, the same thing. I couldn't find any lineage of her, but thank you to Ancestry.com, there were some information there. So I was able to find her family, who grew up in Detour. There were 12 children. And come to find out, my grandmother's birth name was Elmira. And her entire life, she's known as Maud. Her gravestone even says Maud. But with the name Elmira and her death date, I was able to acquire a death certificate for her. And also at that time I discovered another roadblock was my mother. My mother was always named Margaret, always known as Margaret. On her gravestone it said Margaret, but she was actually born Ella. So with those two pieces of information, that unlocked everything for me. I was able to go back and so finding all those things were very, very interesting to me, but what it did was it allowed me to prove my lineage and then also help my family connect to their lineage also.